Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode here of In the Zone. Giancarlo Aulino here with Chris Martelli, Anthony Pagniello, and guys, NHL Trade Deadline. It was a long one. A lot of big names were teased here. They're coming to the Leafs. We heard everything from Fleury coming, and that obviously didn't work out, unfortunately. But we got Mark Giordano coming in from Seattle. It's a pretty big price that the Leafs paid there. I'll start off with you, Pagniello. What'd you think about Giordano being traded to the Leafs and being reunited there with TJ Brody?
Was kind of surprised when I got the update. Started laughing, not gonna lie, but it's a little bit of a hefty price for someone who is 38 years old. But at the same time, with the position the Leafs have been in the last few years, I think we all kind of assumed they were going to do something and give up some draft picks and or players, and that's what they did. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone is expecting him to win the Norris like he did a few years ago. He's just going to come in, be a solid depth player. I don't know if he's going to play with Brody or Mo. We'll see. He could still eat some minutes up, maybe get some second power play time. I like it. It's obviously short term. You know what they're trying to do. So, yeah, Mark Giordano's a Leaf. It's pretty cool stuff, boys.
Yeah, it's very interesting to say the least. I know he was linked to us for a while. Ben Sherratt was linked to us. Josh Manson. A lot of the D that were available and did actually end up getting dealt were linked to the Leafs. But yeah, Mark Giordano, obviously this year being the captain of Seattle and expansion team, getting that opportunity to lead the charge to start a franchise. Obviously, there's pressure there, but yeah, he's been doing it for a long time. He's probably going to have his jersey retired in Calgary. That's how important he is to them. And he is a Toronto native, so coming here tonight, I probably would expect a standing ovation when he takes his first couple strides in a Leaf uniform, maybe in warm ups. But to me, I mean, Colin Blackwell is a really sneaky addition to this team, and you can say what you want about guys like Wayne Simmons and Pierre Engvall and the bottom six. I think Blackwell could be the guy that has the most consistent role out of all those guys. The last 2-3 years, I know he was on Seattle this year. He was probably on the second line, probably overachieving when it came to offensive numbers. But last year with the Rangers, he looked pretty solid. I wouldn't say maybe Kerfoot production, but maybe a step under that. But in terms of what you're getting here, you didn't give up a first. You're getting the top 4D and Mark Giordano, easing pressure off of guys like Muzzin. I think it's a win for now for the Leafs, but we got to wait and see what those picks turn out to be. So for now, I'm kind of cautious with it. He is 38, but I'm thinking positive here, boys.
Yeah, do you think this puts him over the hump?
Oh God, with the first round hump or the fucking.
I don't want to get into that. Possibly. That's yeah, possibly. I'll maybe aim toward it. I was saying before we went live, it depends on what Jacob Muzzin we get in a limited role. He was probably playing too much anyway. The amount of playoff games and just overall ice time that Muzzin's logged over the years is just it's absurd. So maybe taking a step back, easing the pressure off of Muzzin could maybe make him a better player. So if that's the case here, you could put Giordano again. Pagniello's mentioned it. You could realign him with TJ Brody. They do have that chemistry. I think maybe we can upset a Florida team, but we'll get into the Florida trades in a bit. They've got a whole lot better. So maybe.
I mean, I think they're better. I don't know if it puts them over the hump, but we were just saying before we went live, like I kind of like the Leafs D. I like the makeup of it. It's nothing amazing, but you got Riley kind of leading the way all year. Brody's been a great partner for him. I've always been a fan of Muzzin, but this year it has been fucking disastrous. I'm not gonna lie. So ideally, you get Muzzin back. I don't know what version of him you're gonna get, and with Giordano coming in, it's a nice little mix. I fucking hope it gets them over some sort of hump, though. I'm not sure, but they are better today.
Are you disappointed they didn't do more? Because they have the LTIR cap number right there, but I'm looking at Arizona. They made some sneaky little minor trades, and I thought this was going to lead to the big one. Bring Phil back here, maybe a Chikrin. Like, I don't know, this is a team that they can't be building like a rebuild like Ottawa is, because this is basically the rebuild. So they got to be win now, and they could have used like a 2024, 2025. They could have used some of those picks in this to sweeten the deal up. But I'm looking at this like Phil Kessel, final year of his deal, doesn't have a lot of remaining salary. Arizona had cap space, could have retained it. Toronto could have gave them some draft picks to sweeten the deal and brought Phil back to add to the team. So a little disappointed there. Are any other moves that you guys think they could have made that they didn't?
For me, I think I said it within the last few pods. I expected them to do exactly what they just did. A couple of depth moves. The Blackwell addition is pretty sweet. I assume he's going to be fourth line center. With him playing with Simmer and Spezza, that's pretty sweet. So I thought the Leafs would improve on their depth. That's what they did. I'm not going to lie. When I think you brought it up before, Chris, with Colorado getting Josh Manson, when that happened, I'm kind of like, fuck. That was kind of the defenseman I wanted, like someone along those lines. But yeah, improving their depth, and hopefully everyone stays healthy. So no surprises from the Leafs part.
Yeah, not a lot of surprises in terms of what they need. And, they got their supposed D in Giordano. I don't know if they valued him over Manson. Obviously, Manson's younger, so I'd probably go with him. But in terms of cap and all that, we all know the situation in Toronto. It's not looking too smooth. But, like I want to really go off about how they didn't really look at the goalie market at all. I feel like they kind of just ignored the fact that, yeah, there were pretty decent goalies out there. We talked about it last week. Braden Holtby, a guy that's he was a future, sorry, not a future, past Vezina candidate. And, they didn't even sniff talking about like a contract. Even Marc-Andre Fleury, I saw a supposed trade rumor. I don't know if that's true or not. Like, the internet's a funny place. They can just make that shit up. But we did see the whole Seattle expansion draft get leaked before. So, but I did see that Fleury there was a trade that was linked with the Leafs with Fleury, and it didn't look too bad, honestly. I would have done it. I know Matthew Neese, potentially our best prospect now with Nick Robertson struggling to stay healthy and struggling to, make the Leafs roster. But yeah, I do agree with Pagniello. I didn't really expect a whole lot in terms of shaking up this team completely, but Mark Giordano, make no mistake about it, it does shake up this team for the better. But I would have loved another goalie. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I know as soon as I saw Capo Kakinen go to San Jose, I didn't get excited. I just kind of had that little bit of hope that maybe the Leafs were calling about James Reimer. So at that point, as bad as Mrazek has been, and Eric Shalgren's still a big fat unknown, and Campbell dealing with an injury, I think maybe going out and getting a Reimer or a Holtby or anybody else in that market wouldn't have hurt at all.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. But yeah, like we just mentioned about Nice there, coming in, probably going to sign that entry level deal and join the team in the playoffs. We saw with Robertson in that bubble, like all these expectations on him, and he did well. But like, do you guys see him being forced into a top six role, or do you think they'll ease him into the fourth line?
Oh,
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I think they'll ease him into it. I don't know, really. I'd say maybe the second or third line, and they'd get him into some offensive roles. I'm looking at that fourth line. Honestly, I don't want to fuck with it. It's kind of weird to say that the fourth line's not the one you'd want to change, but I think they'd ease him into it on the second, third line. He might get some time, but nothing of crazy significance.
Yeah, I think it depends, Aulino, on the outlook of what they think he could bring to the table. I know Andre Casse, and he's now out for a bit. I don't know what a bit is. I don't know if that's week to week, day to day. I have no idea, but it didn't look good, the injury. David Kampf is another guy that I thought him coming to this team, he would be a bona fide bottom six center that would consistently be in the lineup. And unfortunately, that also is not the case. So maybe if Matthew Neese, I'm pretty sure he's a left wing and a center. I think if you can dabble with it, I mean, second line doesn't seem too far-fetched. Kerfoot's been on that line. Mikheyev has been there too. So maybe just mix it up. I don't think he can do maybe what Robertson did against Columbus a couple of years ago. I think we got to expect a little less because the Toronto media, man, as soon as a new face comes in, especially a guy under 21, the media just loves every ounce, every opportunity they can get. They will cover that player. So I think with Matthew Neese specifically coming from college, I think the expectations have to be, a little bit less. I think less is more with Matthew Neese at this point. Just have him ease into the lineup, whether that's in David Kamp's position or Mikheyev or Kerfoot or whoever you want to maybe push out into the taxi squad at that point. But yeah, I do agree with Pagniello. Spezza's a guy that you need in the playoffs. We saw it last year. And even Wayne Simmons, not the greatest skater, but you do need a guy like him in the playoffs, especially if you're going to take on, again, the Boston Bruins. So the fourth line I'm not touching, but Mikheyev and Kampf, those are the type of guys maybe Matthew Neese can replace come playoff time.
Well, speaking of playoff time, Florida Panthers made some moves, and they got Claude Giroux. Looks like a big deal, but Aaron Ekblad is now done for the rest of the season. Maybe, depending on how serious it is, might be out for a bit of the first round. So what do you guys think about the Claude Giroux deal and now Ekblad going down? Like, do you think that's going to ruin everything in Florida?
Kick it off, kiddo.
Ekblad's a big part. He's a huge part, but their forward group is the best in the NHL. Them and Colorado are just on a different level. I just want to know where all the Sam Bennett haters are, because that guy has just completely done a 180. He's looking so rejuvenated, so confident on that second line with Reinhart and Verhaeghe for most of the year. And yeah, Vetrano at times was on that second line. They traded him only. It looks pretty bad when you look back at it, especially going to another East team for only a fourth-round pick. But that's how good Florida's offense is. They really don't need Vetrano if you think about it. So they still have Duclair on the third line. They got Weegar. They got Robert Hagg now. They had a couple other additions as well. They got Ben Sherratt. They did the really smart move there. They got two known NHL defensemen just to replace what no one's going to replace what Aaron Ekblad does, but getting Sherratt I think was massive for Florida, and of course getting Claude Giroux, a guy that's played 1,000 games in the league and is one of the better playmakers. If you put him on the wing with Barkov and Huberdeau, good luck. So I don't know if it really hurts their playoff chances. I do think regardless they're going to be a favorite come the playoffs, and yeah, watch out for Florida, man. They're very scary.
I did not know the significance of the Aaron Ekblad injury. I assumed it was like a week-to-week thing when we were shooting the shit about it before. So hypothetically, if he's gone, let's just say he's gone for the playoffs, to me that's a huge fucking shot. Like, he's been a really good defenseman in his career, but the last year or so, I really feel like he's blossomed into a fucking all-star caliber defenseman. So yeah, obviously they want that guy back, but when you look at the Panthers as a whole, like Chris said, picking up a couple of Sherratt got a fucking killing. I don't know why he got so much, but they got him. They got a couple of D. They're looking all right for now, but picking up Claude Giroux for really, I know he's 34 years old. I think with the position Florida's in, I don't think they gave up anything, honestly, with all the depth that they have. And even given the fact that he's 34 years old, playing on that garbage team in Philly, he was still producing some decent numbers. Now he's going to Florida, playing with Sasha Barkov and Sam Reinhart and Leaf legend Carter Verhaeghe. And you know what? This move might put them the fuck over. So I don't want to see Florida in the first round. I don't think a lot of teams do. They're pretty loaded right now. And yeah, it's nice to be a Florida Panthers fan.
Well,
Aulino, I have a question for you though, because I know you're a Bobrovsky believer. Do you really think Bobrovsky's the goalie to take this team to the promised land? That's my only question with the team. I know how important Aaron Ekblad is. I'm actually reading an article here where it looks like he should be good to go for the playoffs. That's what I just read. So He's out the rest of the regular season, I guess, to rest them. They clinched the playoff spot. Let's be real here. They have a Hart Trophy candidate in Huberdeau this year who just continues to excel year after year. Reinhart, Bennett, Verhaeghe, like one of the better second lines in the league. But then you look at the goalies, Spencer Knight and Bobrovsky, not too confident with those two. So I'll start with Aulino because I know you're a Bobrovsky boy. Do you have faith in this guy to maybe take Florida to a second round?
Oh, he better. Making $10 million. He better be on the fucking case over there in Florida. I got Bobrovsky turning it back to his Columbus days, and I just hope the Leafs don't play them because I think he'll turn it out and get some shutouts there. But Florida matchup with Boston, I think Bobrovsky's going to have a time out there.
Do you have faith in Bob to get you to the second round or to the finals? What was the question?
Well, I'm starting small, so I said second round because they haven't won a round in I don't know how long. So
we were one.
26 years they haven't won a round. So I guess I'll start with second round, but realistically with the team, I guess the conference finals. I don't know.
Second round, I'll say absolutely, but it's a hard visual because, like we just said, we've literally never seen it. I've seen them in the playoffs once. And they lost to the fucking Devils, which the Devils should have lost that. It was, yeah. So, but yeah, for Bobrovsky, I don't have his stats in front of me, but boys, it just seems like every other year something happens with him. Like he's up for the Vezina one year, and then the next year he has like 6 injuries and he's off the face of the earth. And then the year after he's good. So that guy's a mystery. I've always been a fan of his too, but if he's on his game and he's been rolling all year, I don't, why the fuck not, right?
He's a stud. $10 million a year. Oh, man, when he went there and then Columbus had that opportunity, we can't afford that. Panarin and Bobrovsky eliminate Tampa. They're going to walk. But that's a tough one. He's got to show up here because Florida, as they start getting more players in the lineup, become more of an attractive destination, they're going to look at his $10 million cap hit, and if he's not producing, they're going to ship him off to Arizona like all the other teams do. He'll play in front of 5,000 people on a campus, so hopefully for his sake, he gets a job done. But what about Marc-Andre Fleury, another goalie, since we're on that topic, Minnesota? I didn't know they can get a nice little year off from paying a waiver fee or a buyout fee from the league. They did them a solid, but this year they got to go for it all, and they get Marc-Andre Fleury. Is this going to work? Because I have my doubts about this team having success.
Start it, buddy.
I'll say I think for sure they can beat the Blues if they face them in the first round. And even I'm kind of hesitant on saying that, but just what I've seen from Minnesota this year in terms of team chemistry. I'm not talking about star power. Pagniello he told us their centers before the pod went up, and it just sounds so bad. But Ryan Hartman's having a career year. Matt Zuccarello's having a career year. Kirill Kaprizov is a superstar player. Aulino, you said that if you're any team in the West, you wouldn't want to play a guy like him. I don't blame you. He even hits. He's a type of all-around talent that you don't necessarily see come from the K. So I really like what I've seen from Kaprizov. But, man, I think this is a massive upgrade. I know maybe you guys aren't as high on Fleury as maybe I am at the very moment, but he's always going to bring that positivity. He's always going to bring that great leadership in the room. And I think with an unexperienced Minnesota team here, I think this can bolster the morale of the team and even the results. So I love what Marc-Andre Fleury already brings to any goalie crease, any team. It doesn't matter. We've seen it the last 3 years. Even, it started pretty rough with Chicago, but he started piling up the wins, and the save percentage only increased as the year went on. So this is a much better defensive team in front of them. I know, again, talk about star power. The Wild don't have a lot of it, but in terms of team chemistry, man, I think they're one of the best in the league. So getting Fleury for only a first or a second that could turn into a first, I think is a pretty good gamble if you're Minnesota right now.
Is that condition he has to re-sign there?
The condition is he has to get 4 he has to basically win the first round. He has to get 4 playoff wins.
Is that actually? I wonder how those negotiations go. Fuck, so random. But yeah, that's a pretty fair price for getting someone like Fleury. The Wild, they're kind of like, they remind me of the Islanders. They're like the Islanders of the West. They're just a really good hockey team, and a lot of teams can't figure them out. But I think you said it there. Like, regardless, like, you're getting a guy like Marc-Andre Fleury. He's got years of experience. He's got 3 Stanley Cups. You could go back and forth with him and Talbot. So, yeah, I don't think with them too, everyone expected them to make some moves here at the deadline. The Wild are in a position to do some damage. So I think it helps. I was surprised they got rid of Kakinen, but if they really feel like they're all in, then I guess that's what you got to do.
I just don't see. I don't know. This team, I haven't seen enough out of them, but like Kaprizov's good. Obviously, it's just I think they've overdid it here by getting Fleury. I think if there wasn't going to be any other moves like Giroux, let's say, or maybe someone on the back end to come in and help, I think they kind of blew their shot there with the conditional first. I think they could have gone out and got Giordano too. That would have been one. Got like some other guys that are minor type deals. Like I know the buyout thing comes in effect next year, but like take advantage of building with a young core. So like that, once a buyout comes up, those guys are going to be up for renegotiation and going to hit the ground running. But they're going to be in a weird spot for the next few years. So I can like probably consider them like Arizona, limited cap, and they got to make the most of it right now.
Yeah, man, specifically Minnesota this year, they went all out. They got rid of so much future assets. They got rid of a third, a second. Jack McBain, who's looking like he could be a stud. And, they ship him out to the desert in Arizona. So I do like Nick Delorier going to Minnesota. He was having a great year with Anaheim, and what he can do again on the bottom 6 is, we've seen it over the years. I hate bringing this line up, but they just gave me nightmares. Was the Danny Paille, Sean Thornton, like those type of guys. I think Delorier can be a guy like that for Minnesota. They got Jacob Middleton, a guy he's not well known yet, but he's looking like he's a bona fide NHL D. So you get rid of Kakinen. The crease was already kind of, it was jammed with Talbot and Fleury now, so he can get his opportunity in San Jose. It's good. But specifically, man, this trade, like the trade that I really, really like the most here is Fleury. I know it's hard to, I guess, comprehend Fleury going to Minnesota at this stage in his career, but sometimes, man, you have to take those risks. And the Islanders, you call them the Islanders of the West. I still feel like the Islanders haven't taken that risk yet, that big, gigantic signing. It's just I really like the Wild. I know it's a big hill to climb against teams like Calgary and Colorado, but I think Minnesota's right there, man. I think they can catch a break. Again, playoff hockey is different. Anybody can beat anyone at any time, and Minnesota for me is a dark horse, at least for now.
Your boy Tyson Jost is going to turn it around over there. 4th line center. Let's go.
Oh, what a disappointment that guy is. I don't want to get into that, but good on him going to a new team. We'll see what happens. Because look what happened with frickin' Nishushkin. That guy now in Colorado is lighting it up. So.
Hey, you know what? I brought it up jokingly, but what about Ryan Hartman? How many fucking teams has he been on? Now he's playing 1st line center with Zuccarello and Kaprizov.
It's his 3rd team. He's always been in the West. Nashville, Chicago drafted him, and now Minnesota. So I'm happy for Hartman. 1st round pick. He's always had that potential, and now he's filling the net. It's looking pretty nice there. And I think Eric Sinek is taking a step in terms of two-way, and Jordan Greenway is another underrated secondary scorer. So I like Minnesota.
Boom.
Well, another surprise right down the wire. Pittsburgh gets Rickard Rakell from Anaheim, and I don't know. I think he could be a nice little fit there with Malkin, and he can even go up and play with Crosby once in a while. But is this going to be when everyone looks back at the deadline? Is this a sneaky biggest trade and best trade for Pittsburgh and for all these teams here?
Yeah, Yeah, I like this for Pittsburgh. I don't really, even if it is a rental, I don't think they gave up anything that they'd want to hold on to long term into the future. And getting a guy like Raquel, like I think he's around 30 years old. He was drafted 2011, something like that. He's always been a really good player. His time was up in Anaheim. He's been there for a long time now. And now he could play first, second, third line here. I don't really think it matters. He could play with Carter on the third line. I think they got a great mix, Pittsburgh. I'm still fucking waiting for that fall off. They still get these great guys every year at the deadline. But yeah, Anaheim didn't get much of a return for him. But for Pittsburgh, good stuff.
Yeah, it's probably the best trade. Other than the Lindholm one that we'll get into after this, I guess. But Raquel, 2-time 30-goal scorer. I know he played with Getzlaf. A lot of people say, without Getzlaf, he's not getting 30 goals. We got to wait and see here. I don't know what the expectation is going into Pittsburgh for Raquel. I know it's a very exciting signing. Kapanen was a guy that was potentially on the way out, but apparently the trade market wasn't that booming for Kapanen. So they get Raquel, they get rid of Dominic Simon and Zach Aston Reese, two guys that they did have team chemistry with this core in Pittsburgh, but Raquel, the star power and what he can bring, especially on a line potentially with Malkin or even Carter. The fact that you have Crosby, Malkin, Carter down the middle is it's not fair come playoff time. I don't want to play Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh and Minnesota are a little more relatable at the moment. I don't want to, if I'm anybody in the Metro, I don't want to play Pittsburgh. I think right now they're a better team than Carolina, just maybe by a slight edge, but just based off experience. I know maybe you look at the standings, you look at all the little results, and maybe Carolina's better for now. But once the playoffs come, I think Pittsburgh is the team to beat. And Raquel, man, we see what Gunsel can do in the playoffs. I think Raquel, maybe not similar numbers, but I do think he'll put up about 6-7 goals in the playoffs if they go far.
It's a good little prediction there. But speaking of Anaheim, I touched on it there about Lindholm. But before we get into Lindholm, are you surprised Ryan Getzlaf didn't get moved? Because they moved all these other guys out. Getzlaf would have been a nice veteran piece on a team. Are you surprised he's still sticking it out and maybe makes a decision in the summertime?
He's the last guy there, isn't he? From that team, right?
Him and Fowler.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Him and all Fowler, too. In a way, no. I feel like with Getzlaf, he'll be the guy to just let his deal up and then he'll walk somewhere. Or it'll be like a Giroux type thing in the offseason where they settle it down to one or two teams. But I don't for the Ducks, I don't think it was we have to get rid of this guy right away. I don't think there's any rush with Getzlaf. He's a legend over there, but with all the moves they're doing, you kind of get the indicator that time's coming up. So who knows? Maybe in the offseason, Getzy will be on the move.
It's pretty funny. Getzlaf is very relatable to Kyle Lowry in this situation. If you're an Anaheim fan, it's it's coming. You don't want to believe it. So the only thing Aulino is there were a lot of players on Anaheim that have that little more trade value than Getzlaf at this stage in his career. Even a guy like Adam Henrique, Jakob Silverberg, Maxime Comtois. These were a lot of guys that were being called out there on the market, not named Ryan Getzlaf. So there were about 4 or 5 other skaters that were more valued to other GMs than Getzlaf. So I know age is obviously the big indicator for Getzlaf. He's 36, 37 years old now. He's getting up there in age, but I think it's also a respect thing. I don't think they want to just trade him at the deadline to go to a rental. I don't think he's that type of player anymore. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if I recall correctly if that was the case with Perry. Maybe it was in the off season, but I do agree with Pagniello. I think Getzlaf, his perfect fit and his narrative, I think moving forward is going to be that he's probably going to get dealt to a team. He's probably going to meet with the owner and the GM and say, listen, I have 3 teams that I potentially want to go to. Take me to one of them. Maybe we'll slim it and narrow it down to 1, 2, and we'll see what happens. So I am intrigued with this Anaheim team. I know they're trying to move forward with Trevor Zegras as the number one option. He probably already is the number one option, but just seeing what's going to happen with Getzlaf, very intriguing. But I wasn't surprised he didn't get dealt here.
Well, now it's time for the other Anaheim guy, Lindholm, going to Boston. And he signs an extension to just to top it all off. Did they jump to conclusion here? Because this could go like bad in a hurry if this playoff run doesn't work out for them.
You want to kick it off?
Sure, man. Lindholm, great guy. Never been that offensive defenseman, and I think that's exactly what Boston needs. They don't need an offensive D. McAvoy all of a sudden now is getting 45 and 55. So I think he's transitioned his game into that offensive, never mind offensive, that two-way gem. I think he's a top 5 defenseman in the league. Maybe not top 5, but top 10 for sure. Hampus Lindholm can come in here and he can just bolster this lineup tremendously. I think this is a fit where it's going to be a nightmare for any team facing them in the playoffs. And yes, Aulino, you always got to talk about the it can go south narrative, but the fact that they ended up trading for a guy like Hampus Lindholm, he's only 28 years old. He's already been in the league for 10. And, he's basically your 1B behind McAvoy at this point. And, Matt Grzelcyk is not going to cut it offensively. So if Lindholm can put up 30 points and just be that elite shutdown defenseman, I think Boston absolutely hit a home run here. But, they gave up a first, 2 seconds, Vakinainen and John Moore. I think Vakinainen, it's kind of risky there. I think if you can give this guy a little bit of time in Anaheim, linking up with a guy like a Jamie Drysdale, I think that could work out for them. But yeah, what Lindholm brought to Anaheim is only going to transition to Boston, and I think that's just straight up defensive success and consistency. So good on Boston, but damn it.
Yeah, this trade pissed me off. I think Boston hit a home run here, and I think Anaheim they got a good deal back. Like Vakinainen's a good young player, and to get 3 picks on the side of that, it's fucking crazy. So, I like the contract. I'm not gonna lie. What is it like? How much per year? Does it fluctuate throughout the years?
I think it's at about 6.125. I'm pretty sure it's around there.
Yeah, like to me, that's in the range of what I was gonna. I would have said like 6.5 in the off season, but for now, it's amazing. He's gonna take a lot of pressure off McAvoy and Carlo. They got such a great mix over there. Lindholm's gonna do so much for them. They don't have to play together at all. I assume he'll get second power play time. I like the deal for him. I think it's great for him. For Boston long term, I don't know, because Marchand and Bergeron are like fucking 33 now and 35. So I don't know where the team's heading in terms of Lindholm in the contract. I think it's awesome. The next 3 years or so, amazing. And their blue line's looking fucking mint. So Leafs fans are not happy about this one.
Yeah, the contract's only 5.25.
Oh, that
pisses me off even more. Yeah, shit. Because McAvoy's contract's a flat out. I mean, what's he getting paid now? Is it $9 million or?
It's something like that.
Yeah, it's $9 million. So I was gonna say before that it was a good contract. He was getting like 6, but yeah, man, Lindholm at only 5.25. Damn, that's good.
Fucking assholes got lucky there again. But there's another sneaky trade here because looking around, like Calgary got their business done early, and a lot of people are talking about them being like among the favorites. Like I know Markstrom, phenomenal goalie. Their forwards are turned it around this year, but do you guys see Calgary as being a favorite, or is this like overhyped by the media here?
Oh, you kick it, buddy.
I mean, overhyped, I'll say yeah, just because that's sports. But I don't know. I think they're a really good team. I remember within the last week or so, I've been hearing a lot of Colorado doesn't want to play Calgary. And everyone thinks Calgary's really the better team and they're the best team in the league. And I'm just kind of like, I was thinking about it. I don't know. I think they're really good. I think they're competitive. They could go far within the West. I really like their team, but like I don't think they're the favorites. They're just they're one of a few really good teams in that conference. But yeah, like I gotta give Markstrom more love because I was never really a fan of him in his career. In the last couple of years, he's just kind of exploded. And I think we brought up Vancouver before, and we're like, look where they were, and yeah, look where Calgary is. But a lot of good things going for Calgary. I think they're one of the favorites, but yeah, I don't think they're the ones to bet on.
I'll say it's not too far-fetched for them to go all the way. Again, you said it perfectly. They're probably not the team to bet on, but they are the second best team, no doubt about it. It's Colorado and Calgary, and then the rest. So it does make sense that Colorado doesn't want to face Calgary, but it also makes sense that Calgary doesn't want to face Colorado. So that's competition for you. Markstrom's an absolute beauty. They have the best line in hockey. I said it last week. Kachuk Lindholm has just turned into a fantastic player, and Johnny Gaudreau is fourth in scoring quietly. So he's going to get a massive contract. I don't know what that's going to be. I don't know if the contract talks are going to go a little shaky, but regardless, they're going all in now. I think one of the better signings and trades of the year was the Tyler Foley trade. And, who did they trade? Was it Rem Pitlick and a couple other guys? Or I'm trying to remember what that trade was, but they hit a home run getting to Foley. Him being on the second line with Mangiapane and Sean Monahan is also, that sounds absolutely incredible. Mangiapane at 30 goals. I've never really been a fan of Rasmus Anderson, but this is the year where he's kind of proved me wrong. He was never that defensive D. I was never confident in him playing in his own zone. So this is the year where I see him more playing with Noah Hannafin, and they've got that chemistry. And I don't know if it's Hannafin's two-way game or more of his defensive role that's kind of rubbed off on Anderson, but he's been fantastic this year. And yeah, kudos to Jakob Markstrom, 8 shutouts. That's impressive. So, Aulino, I wouldn't say it's an overreaction. I just think that, yeah, the media, when a team is doing really well, they're going to pump their tires. But I do think Calgary is for real. No doubt about it.
Yeah. Calgary there, the Markstrom's play, it's just like, the fuck was Vancouver thinking? Getting Holtby. And then going and buying him out. And thank God for them, Demko came up, or else they'd be in trouble right now. But another trade that sneaked up right at the end of the deadline, Max Domey. This is a big one because he's making a lot of money. This is a big playoff run, I guess, for him, because this final stretch of the season, it's make or break for him if he wants to get another contract that pays him something similar. But what do you guys think of Max Domey now? New surroundings and new playoff run for his team.
I mean, I like it. I thought he was having a pretty decent year. I wasn't expecting him to score 75 like he did a few years ago, but yeah, I don't know why he can't find a home. It's kind of confusing to me. Every time I watch him, he's one of those guys that plays with so much heart, and he's got a lot of skill, plays a lot bigger than he is. But yeah, like you said, that fucking contract that Montreal gave him. So I don't expect him to stay in Carolina, honestly, especially after re-signing Kotkaniemi for fucking 8 years. So I'm hoping on his next deal he could find a nice little home somewhere and just get it going, because I don't like seeing this guy on the move all the time. It's a little baffling.
Yeah, he's a great hockey player. He deserves to find a home somewhere. And to me, this screams Matt Duchene in terms of, fit and everything that just surrounds his trade. He's probably going to be here for a solid 25 games and then dip. But it's good for a playoff run for Carolina. I don't know if this means that maybe they're not as confident in maybe their third line, like Nino Niederreiter and maybe even Kotkaniemi at this point, but they did sign him to an 8-year deal. Martin Nikish, actually, Pagniello, I know you're a big fan of him. He has not impressed me the last couple months. Hasn't really done much. If anything, his game has kind of taken a little bit of a hit due to Seth Jarvis kind of coming up and now taking that top spot on the top line. Yeah, Seth Jarvis he's been that good. So, but yeah, what Max Domey can bring to this team is grit, and this is a team, love or hate Carolina, they don't really have that much grit, just like the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's a sandpaper guy with a little bit of skill. And I think Max Domi could only benefit guys, like those skilled centers like Trocheck, even a playmaker like Teravainen, I think can benefit from a Max Domi move. So Carolina's already a scary team. They're already tops in the Metro Division. I did say earlier in the pod, I still think Pittsburgh, when it comes to the playoffs, is the scarier team with Tristan Jarry, how great he's been this year. But yeah, Carolina, I don't want to face them. So the East playoffs is definitely going to be fun.
Yeah, who would have thought Max Domi's dad, Ty, the enforcer, goes to 3 teams in his career. His son, the skilled player, two-way guy, is on his 4th or 5th. I think his 4th. Well, and then after he goes in the off season, could be another one. So it's odd how that one works. You would think Ty Domi would be the one to be floundering around the league, but he's not a legendary enforcer for no reason. Atta boy, good Canadian boy. But I don't know, all these other like deadline moves compared to the NBA, like I think the NHL needs to. I know we were talking about this like a couple weeks ago, but I think they need to adopt this where you can buy out a player on the last year of his deal, make him a UFA, and make that another like free agent market where you have like a week to sign that guy. Like, do you think NHL teams should look into that? Maybe get some more compensation after if they do it.
Take it, buddy.
Absolutely. I love the way the NBA does things. Guys are always on the move all the time. And with that extra year, I would definitely see some more shakeups. So, I'd be all for that.
Yeah, even us as fans and maybe even the analysts that actually cover the trade deadline, for the last couple of years, they've complained the lack of deals being made. So I think that could also boost the amount of deals that are made and the viewership in terms of the days. So Aulino, we did talk about this last week or 2 weeks ago. I absolutely love that take that you made. I think they have to do that specifically, like with a guy like Ryan Getzlaf, a guy that is maybe floundering on a team that he wants to win a cup, maybe one more, and he just flat out can't because he can't get traded. Same with a guy like Phil. There's a couple other guys in the league, but you get the point. They have to start maybe changing up a little bit of the rules in terms of the trade deadline, because even the amount of deals that were made this year, it's not. I'm not going to say that it's not good enough, the deals, but not enough eye-popping trades, I don't think. So I don't know if this just means that the teams are they're in an uncomfortable state with the salary cap and how COVID has kind of affected it. But yeah, they need to adapt that into the game somehow.
Yeah, because if a guy like Phil or Getzlaf, let's say, get bought out, it's probably like a $3 million cap for the rest of the year that they would have to pay. So instead of trading a guy and taking a bad contract, just buy him out, kind of like what the Raptors did with Dragic. Sign him a nice little $10 million check and hit the fucking road. Make him go as a free agent. I think that would be fun for all us fans. But are there any other trades that you were surprised didn't happen that maybe going into the summer we got to look at to see if a big name could be on the move?
I got one.
What up?
Philip Forsberg. The guy's been linked. It was linked all year to get, but now it's not looking likely. But how about Vladimir Tarasenko? Like, he's been in that similar situation with Forsberg. He's been on St. Louis for 10 years now, consistently playing there. I want to say maybe he's the one, because Forsberg and Hurdle were the two premier superstar type players that were focused specifically in the media that they were going to get dealt, both of them. I mean, Hurdle signed an extension. So Forsberg, I guess we got to wait and see with how Nashville does in the playoffs, if they even make it. They're going all in here. I think they were confident enough with the core to maybe make that push for the playoffs and see what Forsberg can do. He's been having probably his best year since 2015. And then, of course, Tarasenko, man, with the emergence of Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou and David Perron almost outperforming Tarasenko by season's end, I could see Tarasenko potentially on the way out.
I like that. I think we were talking about that before. Tarasenko, who said he would go to like the fucking Senators or the Devils, but this was in the off season.
I was going to say, here's
Oh, man.
another one, too, that's intriguing me. Aulino, I'll start this with you. They're a Canadian team, and you already probably know which team I'm going to. Vancouver. JT Miller and Brock Besser have been linked to get traded. Do you see potentially one of those big-name guys get traded in the offseason? Because I see it.
I wouldn't want to see it because they don't really have any other backup options there. Like right now, you have a core there that played with each other for so long. So unless you're gonna get Tarasenko back and you're gonna do like a Besser and so for Tarasenko and whatever else, I think that's the only thing that would make sense. But if you're just gonna throw a guy away just for an extra draft pick, I don't think it would make sense for Vancouver, especially at this stage right now.
You said JT Miller and who?
Brock Besser, buddy.
Okay, yeah, JT Miller. I think we touch on this. It seems like every other week. I don't know why this guy's on the block. Honestly,
I know.
like
He's
Tampa,
probably their best player.
like Tampa. We understand with Tampa, fucking shit's going through the roof with all the money and their contracts. But I don't know what Vancouver wants. Like I thought they were playing well when they got their new coach, and Besser's supposed to be their sniper, and JT Miller is one of their better centermen. And are they fucking rebuilding? Because like if you trade this guy, like what's the point of getting that back? Like you do that for Tarasenko swap, like Aulino said. What the fuck's the point? If you're trading JT Miller and you're the Canucks, I want like 2 first-rounders and a prospect back.
Exactly. Yeah, it's tough, man, because I feel like they were in that spot at one point because Pedersen wasn't playing well at all. So I don't know. Vancouver's a hard team to navigate in terms of where they're going. To me, again, beginning of the year, I had Vancouver at making the playoffs, and I had Philly making the playoffs, and easily both of those were just a flat out no. So we'll see what Pedersen can bring moving forward, and maybe that's it. Maybe they just want Pedersen to be the lone behold number one center, and maybe push Bo to the second, but. Yeah, getting rid of Miller to me makes no sense. Even though he is 29, 30, he's in the prime of his career, and he's arguably their best player.
What's the okay, you brought it up a little before, but I think Thomas Hertl re-signing that was the most surprising thing in the last week for me. Not any trades. Like him re-signing with the Sharks to me just completely threw me off because his name's been linked to it was linked to Boston most of the year, but like Hertl was on the block pretty much all year. And then I don't know. I look at the Sharks and I feel like they're in a position where him and Meyer, they're fucking gone. And then he re-signs 8 years.
Yeah, I agree.
Usually it's a mystery.
Baffling. Yeah, I mean he's already been there for like 8-9 years too. Like time is flying, and Hertl, he's had 370-point seasons with them. He's done his due diligence there. So I do feel like he should have gone to the front office saying, hey, listen, I don't want to be playing for a team that's going to be bottom 5 the next 2-3 years of my NHL career. But instead, no, he takes the salary and he keeps on grooving. So we'll wait and see how long he stays with that 8-year deal. I want to say he'll stay at most 3-4 years. But yeah, I do agree. Hertl re-signing to me was very surprising.
What about Erik Carlson? Like San Jose's got to do something there on that team. Oh man, I think he should get traded.
His contract, man, it's just you kind of can't trade it. It's very hard.
Kinda can't.
It's like what 11 mil, 10.8. It's a lot of money. I don't know if they can. If they trade him, man, it's gonna be like what Arizona did with Datsuk's contract. It's gonna be something like that. It's not gonna be an eventful return. So at this point, they got to ride it out with Carlson. But good on Carlson for getting that money. He's having a time right now.
They are in a not right now, but they're going to be in a serious pickle with him and Burns. Like, what do you do? I just because like they gave him the deal after his leg injury, Carlson. They knew what they were getting into, and he was still great at that point. But since then, he's like, I'm not going to say he's playing on one leg, but you can tell he's not the same.
Yeah.
Even playing this year, watching him, he still looks all right, but man, that money is just killer. And then they give Hurdle the long ass deal, and I'm like, are they fucking? Do they think they're gonna run it back or some shit with Couture up the middle too? I don't know what they're thinking. So
Timo Meyer though, he's a superstar. I love Timo Meyer. He's unreal. I think he's actually top 15 in scoring too, low key. He's having a freaking year. But I want to end the pod with another trade in our division. Brandon Hagel and Nick Paul going to the Tampa Bay Lightning, man. This is a Brandon Hagel, again, not a very well-known guy. He's only 23 years old. Do you think Chicago getting rid of Brandon Hagel was a big mistake? Because when the trade was made, I thought this type of guy, 23 years old on a franchise like Chicago, I thought he would be a guy that wasn't untouchable.
Chicago doesn't know what they're doing because they've been blessed with fucking Kane and Taves and Crawford and Keith for so long. So now they actually have to play general manager, and they got rid of one of their better young players. So, yeah, we're ending the pod with Brandon fucking Hagel on Tampa Bay. So I like it for Tampa, though. Just they seem to get these depth guys every single year, and he's obviously having a year in Chicago where Chicago's not really doing a whole lot. So it's great for Tampa yet again.
Yeah, Tampa.
Where do you see him in the lineup?
What was that?
Where do you see him in the lineup, though? Like, he's already a 20-goal scorer this year. I don't really know where. Like, do you put him over Killorn?
Fucking absolutely not. Holy shit. They'll probably be moving around guys all the time because, like, I like Ross Colton, too, him stepping in. It's tough. I feel like, I don't know. Can you see them taking Maroon out? Probably not, right?
No
but
way.
Like, you should, but they won't.
Yeah, you should. It's like Simmons with Toronto.
Yeah.
If you really think about it.
They got a lot of riches over there, Tampa.
It's a tough one. They got enough solid players. I don't feel bad for them.
I guess we will got to wait and see, man. That division after the trade deadline, oh my God. Just so much better.
There it is.
Well, anything else you guys want to add there on the trade bait list?
Did we? I think we got everything, right? All the main ones?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Andrew Kopp was another one, but we'll wait and see with him on the Rangers.
I like that one, actually. They got a lot for him, but that's a great signing.
I think that just proves my point with Lafreniere right now. He's just not good enough. They get Kopp and Vetrano. It's like, okay, we'll see.
Rangers winning.
Capo Caco.
Well, he's been brutal, man. Oh, God. Jesus.
Should have another fucking discussion another day. Where would the Rangers be if Lafreniere and Kako popped off immediately?
Oh, my God.
Jesus.
Damn.
Yeah. Dude, they'd be where Carolina is. Like Philly and the Islanders' chances would be dead moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Well, on that note, boys, this was episode 170. We recapped the eventful NHL trade deadline, I guess we can call it. Talked about some of the moves that we think are going to have the most impact. And next week, we'll talk a little wrestling with WrestleMania coming up. So that's episode 170. We'll see you next week.